Day 7, doing it scared. There was a lot of resistance this morning to post anything on here for a lot of different reasons. Number one, I could not get this camera to work for the longest time. Like, I spent the last 20 or so minutes trying to mess with it to get it to work, and that got in the way. And then I also just had all these thoughts this morning about why I'm doing this, and I got went down the path of ego, and I'm like, oh man, am I just doing this because I want attention? And maybe that's somewhat true. And I got really, I don't know, I got worried about what this is and what the purpose of this is. And I think ultimately it's just for myself and growth, and that's okay. But I was like, man, my am I doing this because I want to be somebody? Am I doing this because I feel like I'm nobody? Am I doing this because I want to be seen? And I think there's probably truth in a lot of different little truths in each of those things. But and there's plenty of things that I could tell myself. And I don't know, I was just really struggling this morning with even getting on here and saying anything, because I've I've also wanted to have at least a little bit of structure about, okay, what am I going to ramble about today? Right? Each day there's been different topics, and today I was like, well, I have a bunch of things I could talk about. I could get vulnerable about, but I don't know what it is and why. Again, it's just going back to like, why am I doing this? What is the purpose? And I get worried. I get really worried that I'm doing it for some kind of wrong reason, or something that I perceive as a wrong reason. Like maybe it's fame, or maybe it's feeling like I'm enough and I'm doing it through this, and I want people's praise and adoration because I don't feel like I'm good enough as I am. And there could be a lot of truth to those things. But then again, I'm sitting there and I'm labeling each of those things as something, right? I'm labeling, fame equals a bad reason to do something, or getting people to like you is a bad reason to do something. And maybe there's some truth to those labels, but maybe there isn't as well. So yeah, I'm kind of rambling about all these thoughts that I've had about this recently. I've been doing this now for, I guess this is day 7, so a week. I've been doing this for a week, and I have felt pretty good about it. I felt pretty good each day after I've done it. I've had resistance and anxiety to getting on here and posting something, but at the very least, when I'm through it, when I'm done, when I've posted, I feel good. I feel like I've done something. And last night, this morning, I just had a lot of thoughts about my desires, and I had a lot of thoughts about my ego. And I was like, man, if I'm doing this as some kind of weird ego play, I don't know if that's the right reason to do it. And then it's like, well, maybe that's myself protecting myself, so I don't do this thing, because I'm like, well, I'm doing it for some kind of thing that I perceive as a wrong reason to do something, so therefore I shouldn't do it at all. And if I don't have something very specific to talk about, if I don't have value to give you, then why should I get on here and talk? Because who am I? Who am I to talk? I've had experiences in life, and sure, I can talk about those experiences, but like, legit, who am I? Like, who am I to sit here and talk about it? There's other people that can talk about these things, and they can talk about them more articulately and all this stuff. So I think I just want this video just to continue on and continue talking about like the doubts that I'm having. And it might seem kind of circular. I might seem to go through the same feelings, but I don't know. I just needed to get them kind of off my chest and not have a topic on this video except for the topic of dealing with that ego and those voices in your head that fight with you. And these voices, a lot of them might be very true. A lot of them might actually be accurate. But when you sit down and you ask yourself, well, what do you want? What do you want to do? I get to this point where I'm like, oh, well, I want to post a video. And then I ask why. Why do I want to post a video? Why do I want to grow this thing? I think ultimately, this is a way to have some kind of impact, but I think also it's a way to eventually maybe get some freedom. And then it's also a way to eventually look like I'm something that I'm not, or look really cool, or it's like, yeah, this guy's posting videos, man. He must know he must know what he's talking about. And it's interesting, all the thoughts and feelings that come up and combat ourselves when we go to do something. And I'm sure that some of you can relate to the feelings of to these feelings, to these thoughts that you have when you're going out and doing something, when you're going out and starting something, when you're going out. And I feel like with business, for example, business is a little bit easier because it's like, okay, well, I at least understand why I'm trying to do business. I start a business so I can make some money, so I can help myself and help others, help my family, and all those things. But like when you're going and it's like, okay, I'm posting content. All right, why? And a lot of it is like, okay, what we say is, in the media world, what you say is, oh, you want to give value, you want to give value to people. And then I think, well, is there actually any value in this? Because, you know, I couldn't tell you the last time when you scroll through all these videos and maybe one of them helps you, but can you remember all the stuff that you saw? You sit on YouTube for, however many hours, and you're like, can you remember all the lessons that you learned? Can you remember all those things that you did? And did it actually change you? Did it actually help you? And does it even matter if it actually helped you or actually changed you? And it's just like, oh, I'm doing this thing because I want to do this. And have you actively chosen that thing on purpose, or is it out of some kind of fear? And is that bad? Is that okay? Um, yeah, so there's obviously in my brain there's a lot of like confusion, and there's a lot of wondering of what is the actual purpose of this, and what is the eventual purpose of this, or what is the purpose of it now. And I think, like, again, I go back to it, but the thing that I'm doing this for simply right now is just growth, and it's something that I've been really scared to do, and something that I felt like I needed to do anyway. So it's like I'm following that little small call of doing the thing that I felt like I've needed to do for a while. I'm also doing something that I'm uncomfortable with and scared of, because I'm scared of judgment, and I'm scared of what you might think of me, and I'm scared of what I think about me about doing this thing, and I'm scared that, oh, my family might see this and judge it and not be okay with what I'm saying. And so there's a lot of those fears, but the I guess, well, the reasons I'm doing this is because I want to find my voice, or I want to speak my voice, not find my voice. I just want to speak my voice, and I feel like I have something to say, so I'm saying it. And sometimes what we're saying is a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of circular logic, a whole lot of why, and maybe it's not that serious. Maybe it's just do this thing and see what happens and see what comes from it, because I feel some kind of intuition or some kind of call. And there's a part of me that is literally in my voice right now as I'm saying that, saying bullshit, like, dude, calling myself out and saying, oh, dude, you don't think that. You're just doing this because you want to be something, and you want to be someone, and you want to be seen in some specific way. And I think that's, it's interesting because we all have these characters that we play. We grow up and we try to be something because we want our parents to see us first, or the ones closest to us. We want them to see a certain version of ourselves, or really we want to be loved, so we become a certain version of ourselves. But really what we do is we're made in their image, and we try to become their image of us, and we try to do that so we get their love. And because we try to do that because we get their love, to get their love, we become this thing that we don't recognize or don't understand, because we try to do this thing. And then what's funny is, like, after doing all of that work of trying to become this somebody, this somebody to them, this version of ourselves that makes sense to them, we lose sight of who we are, and they still have trouble seeing us, and it's still not good enough. They still need more, and they still need you to do the thing. They still need you to, I'll just give an example for myself. It's like going to church. It's like, okay, we need to go to church every Sunday. So it's like you become that person of going to church every Sunday because that's what we do. And you don't really, as you're a kid, you don't really question or understand why you're doing this thing, except for it's like, oh, this is the thing you do. This is part of how you worship God, and this is part of how you get into heaven. And then eventually you get to the point where it's like you start to question. You're like, well, why am I actually doing this? Because I see a bunch of people in this church, and they're all very unhappy, and they're very miserable, and all the things that, there's a lot of weight there. But the point is that we do these things kind of unconsciously, and then we become conscious and we ask ourselves, why are we doing this? And then we don't really know why. And yet our parents or loved ones are still trying to get us to do that thing that they want us to do, because they're like, this is how you're saved. And it comes from their own fears and their own insecurities and their own type of love. But we don't really stop to question why we're doing it for ourselves. And then when we do, we almost have this, I have this existential crisis of, well, what's the point of it? What do I believe? And then all my fears come out, and it's like, whoa, there's a lot of fears around life, and there's a lot of fears around everything. There's a lot of fears around death, and I'm worried that I'm going to go burn in hell. And there's plenty of people that have told me, dude, that's not how it works, blah, blah, blah. But there's still such a large part of me that believes that, oh man, I am not worthy of any type of heaven, and everything has to be a struggle. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm just on this. Well, today is Monday, but on this Monday, I have a lot of these thoughts and feelings. And honestly, these are things that I think about almost on a daily basis that I'm not free from. And it's like, where am I not free? Well, these are a lot of the areas I'm not free. And I can go on a ramble about money and universe and God and Christianity and all these different things. But for the sake of this video not being 2.5 hours long, I'll probably cap it here. There's not going to be a lot of people that'll make it this far anyway. And why am I even saying that? Like, what? Why am I even saying that? Like, that's just an insecurity thing that I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, and there's no purpose, and there's no reason, and no one's going to see it anyway, so who cares? And that's not a good. I don't think that's a good thing to say. There's this video that recently went kind of viral on YouTube. I want to say it's got Dr. Gooby. Gooby and Doobie is his channel, and he put out this video and he just rambled for an hour and a half basically about the 9 to 5 and the healthcare system and how bad it is. But it's like, well, people watch that and they stayed till the end of that. So, why couldn't they stay to 12 minutes of this video? They could. But then I asked myself, well, is it actually helpful? And I don't know. I don't know if this is helpful. I just know that I have a lot of little struggles, I guess, that I deal with in my own mind. And really, like, I look at my life, I zoom out, and it's like, well, dude, you have it pretty good. You have the food that you need to eat, you have fresh water that you can drink, and you get to go to the gym after this, and there's lots of blessings and lots of things to be grateful for sure. But I just think that I get stuck in this loop of, what am I here for? Why am I doing any of this? What's the purpose of this in general? Or in general, bigger than that, I don't know. But that's just honestly where I'm at. And again, like, there's the insecurities. I wanted to do topic video, and I was like, well, if I at least have a topic video, there's some value there. But I don't think I just didn't want to focus on value today, and what is value, and who says what value is. And I think ultimately this is for my growth. So I'm sitting here just kind of bearing my thoughts that might not be well thought out, or maybe are, that might help somebody or help me. And I just look at this whole thing, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? What do you want? What do you desire? And there's this loud voice in my head that says, I don't know. And I think somewhere along the lines, I want to be seen, and I want to be loved, and I want to be enough. And this is another way that I'm trying to be seen, loved, and enough. And ultimately, I know that I know plenty of creators that have thousands of subscribers, millions of subscribers, and they still struggle with a lot of this stuff, right? This, like, what am I doing? What's the purpose of it? Do I want a bigger box to live in? Do I want a bigger, nicer car? Whatever. Is that reason enough to do anything? Am I just overthinking all of this stuff? And probably, yes, there's a lot of truth to me overthinking all of these things that I'm struggling with. But it's fascinating. I don't know. Do you guys struggle with this? Like, it's like I desperately want to matter. And I know that just being alive, just the fact that you're here, just the fact that I'm here means I matter, and I'm made of matter, and we can go on that. But I don't feel like I do. And even though I say that, and I think that deep down I believe that's true, there's all these insecurities of not mattering. That I'm going to live this life. I'm going to be here for 60 more years or whatever it is. 30 more years, 40 more years, I don't know. Whatever. And I'm going to get to the end of it and be like, yeah, nothing changed. Didn't matter. I didn't do anything. My life amounted to nothing. And I just wasted it. I just wasted my time. And all these other people, they did cool things and saw amazing things, and I just sat in my house in Lexington, Kentucky, trying to make something of something, but never made it anywhere. What is making it anywhere? I wrote a poem, or I performed a poem rather. I wrote it too, but performed it recently, and let's see if I can remember the first stanza. I haven't done it, said it in a while, but it goes something like this. Wow, I'm completely blanking, and just I got super nervous and I just completely blanked. I'm gonna pull up the poem real quick because I think it's actually really apropos to what I'm feeling right now, and it's a great line. So it goes like this, which I just pulled it up, and then it's funny because I'll see the first bit and then I'll probably remember it. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's like 6 minutes long, but now if anybody made it 17 minutes in this and wants to hear the rest of this, I think I already posted this to somewhere on X, and maybe I'll post a video of it later. But there's a screaming voice inside my head, full of discontent and dread, wondering what the purpose of all this is. Am I here for hell, love, success? Am I just here to be depressed? When you strip it all away and you say, just ignore it and you'll be okay, how can I know what's real? When deep down inside I feel nothing but woe and pain. What's the long-term gain? Where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I here? Is this just another existential crisis that will be met with no change? Is this what it's all about? Is this all there is? My brain's going through the rest of it, but I don't want to go through the rest of it. I just think that that line or that stanza is something that I deal with almost daily. Like it's like the purpose of what this is, and feeling like I was made to be here just to experience struggle, just to experience pain, just to end up in hell burning for eternity. And there's a big part of me that feels like that's true, and that's very scary. It's very scary. And I don't know, I want there to be something more. I want there to be a bigger purpose for some reason. And there's like, since I was a kid, man, I looked at, I loved Superman when I was growing up. And I remember my earliest birthday I can remember, and I was maybe 3 or 4. I had a Superman birthday. I've always loved Superman. And I think there's several things. I loved his humanity, but I also loved how he was born innately having more, having a bigger responsibility in life, and it's like he didn't even have to think about it. He just did it. And it was like he didn't have a choice. It was just like this thing, his power was given to him, and it was something that he didn't have to work for, he didn't have to work at. He was just strong. He could just fly, and he had laser eyes. Like, he could see through things. Like, it wasn't anything that was worked for. It was something that was innate. And I think there's a big part of me since I was a child that I wanted to find that thing that was innate inside of me. And I still, to this day, I'm 30 years old, I don't feel like I know what that is. I don't feel like I know what the thing is that's innate inside of me. And I've been searching for it, and I've been trying to find it, and I'm like asking myself that big question, like, why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I going? What's the purpose of all of this? What's the purpose of me doing these videos? Like, if I do these videos, is it actually for something that's bigger? Is it just for me to try to figure out? Is it just for me to be at this point? Maybe. I don't know. How many people put tons of videos out and get nowhere? And I know it sounds like I'm just sitting here whining for 20 minutes. Like, dude, and that's where another thing that just stops me, right? It's like, well, shut up. Shut up. Shut up about your struggle. Shut up about it. There's other people that are struggling worse than you. Dude, you're in America. All the blessings. I have all these blessings. You have kids, you have a house, you have a car, you have food, you have water, and like, trust me, I get it. I know that. And that's why it even feels bad. Like, I feel bad, and I'm going to beat myself up for a little while for even talking about these things. But I'll just leave it. I'll leave it there. Um, I appreciate if you took the time to watch this, even for a few seconds. It means a lot. I'm grateful for every one of you. Maybe one day I'll figure out the answers to these questions, or maybe I won't, and that's okay too. I've read all these spiritual books, I've read these self-help books, I've done a lot of work, and I've grown a lot in my life, but I just feel like I'm still stuck at this existential crisis constantly. And there's a large part of me that every day just says, you know what, dude, just fucking end it. Excuse my language. I wasn't going to swear in these, and here I go swearing. Just end it. Apologize if this wasn't encouraging. I wanted to be an encouraging person. I wanted to be light, and I wanted to say the right things, and I think I know the right things to say a lot of times, but I really just genuinely needed to get this out there. I don't know why. I just needed to say all of this. So I said it all, and I realize the privilege I'm in. I realize the goodness. There's just a lot of heavy thoughts too. And I wouldn't be being honest to myself if I just came on here every day and was like, "Oh, life is the best." Though there's a big part of me that believes that. There's still a large part of me that is trying to convince myself that life is the best when I wake up most days feeling pretty rough and pretty miserable. And that's just the truth of where I'm at. It's going to be interesting to see where I'm at 100 days from now, if anything changes, if I'm in the same place or what. And ultimately, I feel that I'm going to be dead at some point, and maybe none of this matters at all. Whew. If you made it 23 minutes, wow, you are a special person. I love you all. Though I'm confused, I've committed to posting these videos, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to post these videos. I'm going to do it scared. Day 7 of doing it scared in the books. One weekend. See you on the other side. It's a weird thing to say, I think, but it came out, so there you go.